The founder and chancellor of Gregory University, Uturu, Professor Gregory Ibe, has won the All Progressive Grand Alliance governorship primary as in Abia State. That was the news that made the rounds sometime in May when he clinched the ticket of the party. Well, he said he had come to change Abia, adding that Jericho has fallen, the wall of Jericho has fallen. And so he said no APC, no PDP in Abia State. He said he has abandoned and left to rot. Abia has been abandoned and left to rot, stating that if elected, he will bring prosperity to the state. Somehow, some contestants on the platform of the All Progressive Grand Alliance challenged the result. As they said, the total votes did not tally with the total number of registered voters. Another person who also challenged that result or that primary in totality is Chikwu Densi, who we had a conversation with via phone on this program a couple of days ago. In the studio with me is the spokesperson of the Professor Gregory campaign, quintessential personality, a renowned journalist and broadcaster, Mr. Slick Ogo. Glad to have you this morning.
Thanks for having me, TC. It's a good thing to be here. Rapid FM is really rapid.
I'm struggling to ascertain what you mean by rapid FM is really rapid.
Well, I can see from what I can see in this facility that we're moving on a rapid pace, actually. You know, when you come to your city, and I'm talking about Umuahia, when you come to our city, Umuahia, and you're seeing things that are moving rapidly, then you know that God is faithful to us.
Glad to have you. It's your first time here.
Yeah, it is my first time here, and I'm so glad to be here for the first time. It's a good development in our city, and I want to commend the management of Rapid FM and those of you who are working here. When you say you're doing a great job.
All right, let's get into the meat of the matter and start the conversation in earnest. Well, fresh crisis rocking the All Progressive Grand Alliance. The last time I had a conversation with you as regards your principal or his party was the issue of what's it called now? Billboards.
The billboards, yes, actually, yeah.
Yeah, but ever since then, just been quiet, getting to do the outreach, the medical outreach, going about his campaign. And then suddenly there was a fanfare when he returned back to the country. And something also took to the internet. We'll scratch that surface a little bit. But then the court case ruled in favor of scrapping the primaries that happened, sometime in May, and asking for the party to schedule one in 2 weeks. At the expiration of that judgment, the party decided to appeal the judgment. Now, some persons believe that when you're having this kind of conversations that are still in court, you might not be able to, get it to a logical conclusion because it's only going to be determined by the court. But let me start off by saying, has that deterred the campaign of Professor Greg Ibe having a member of his party, kicking against him? More like just allow Bayoko from under.
Well, thank you so much for that question, TC. Actually, anybody that gets involved in politics in Nigeria should also get conversant with things like that. Court processes are actually a part parcel of politics in Nigeria.
Okay.
You need to understand the fact that it's a game of interests, and whenever somebody feels like his interest is not being protected, what he does is he talks of some other means. Sometimes he goes to court or tries some other things. So actually, it is a game of legal processes, and we are involved in the legal process. We are quite aware of that.
There are also some very strong allegations from Chikwu Densi that the deputy governorship candidate of your principal, the deputy governorship candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, who's working with your principal, had disrupted the process at Coping. He said he insisted that one of the electoral members would not be leaving, and he described it as him, Obinechita, hitting his hand on the table and saying, "You will not leave here today." Had his boys, had his dogs, according to him. I could pull that audio up for you just in case you would want to listen to that.
I don't think it's quite necessary because of the fact that these very incident is actually standing before a court of competent jurisdiction, and I think that we should leave it there.
But if I may push just a little bit, I'd rather you could get water. Okay, do you have water? I'd rather you just tell me your own side of the story. I'm sure you were there at Coping.
Precisely, I was there.
Can you tell me what transpired?
Now, what transpired is simply, and actually the events of 29th of May 2022 were streamed live from Coping Society, the venue of the primary election of APGA, governorship primary election of APGA. Everything that happened there was streamed live, and the link is still available. People can go and Google and see that what had transpired, that they probably one of the most peaceful primary election that has ever been conducted in Abia State. There was a full complement of journalists, of print, of electronic, also available from beginning up until the end. What happened simply is that during the process of accreditation, the 4 aspirants were there, and then they were briefed by the INEC officers, and then of course the APGA NWC officers that came to conduct the election, and they were told the procedure for that very election on that day. And after the briefing, then accreditation began from one local government area onto another, and then voting began. It was at that process that our brother Sir Chikwe Udensi decided to take leave of the place. And it was very unceremoniously, because people didn't know. He said he was, I don't know what he said, he was going to ease himself or something. Then they started calling him later when the process began. And then we were yet at the process of the voting, I think about the 4th local government area, when I saw online, personally, I saw online that he had announced himself winner in another primary that took place in
so now how many other candidates were in that other primary, that venue?
Initially, there were 4 of them.
In that other venue?
No. I'm talking about Coping. Yeah. I don't know. I know that he was the only one absent from Coping. I don't know what happened at Villeroy. But I'm narrating what I saw on that very day. We read online that he had said he had won the election. And then it became an issue of contestation, because immediately the hierarchy of the party, summoned the journalists that were there and also issued a statement. And even the people that came from the NWC also issued a statement, and it was contradictory, because election was still in progress, and then somebody announced himself the winner. So ultimately, at the end of the exercise, I'm sure that efforts were made for some kind of peace to assist, because we're talking about one party, and then you're going to an election. You're thinking about ensuring that you can upstage a serving political party in the state and all that. So when these efforts, I'm sure they go through, that's how we started the court processes, and we're still there. Remember that a day before the ruling of Justice Binta Nyako in Abuja, there was another ruling here in Umuahia, also of a federal high court, in a case instituted by General Ijoma, which favored my principal ultimately, because all the 4 charges or so that he brought to the court, favored Professor Gregory Kechukwu Ibe. Then that of the next day that they said the primary was annulled, and subsequently ordered a fresh primary, which, like you told our listeners, our principal appealed, and right now we're waiting for the appeal to be heard.
All right, so one thing I'd like to do before we move on from this conversation, Chikwe Udensi had said, I can't remember the name of the person in charge of the electoral committee, but it was a 4-man team that were sent by the national, and that the leader of the delegation had said he's been conducting elections and primaries over the years, and that what he doesn't do is to have accreditation and the election proper in the same venue. The accreditation will be done in one venue.
But let me just say this thing. You see, the processes of conducting any primary election, any election for that matter in Nigeria, processes are very clear. What happens is the party, for instance, in a primary election, determines the venue and they convey some information to INEC. So INEC is privy of the information of where that very primary election was going to happen, and it was in one place, precisely in Coping Society Hall. And now subsequently, if you had to affect a change, you needed to go back to INEC, and there's a certain number of days, I think 7 days before that very election takes place. And so the issue of a dual place for the election, I don't think is something we need to begin to talk about, because there is an existing rule that says you fix a venue, you inform INEC, INEC sends people to go and supervise every election. Also, you see, I don't think it's proper for somebody to be speaking for everybody. If the man who conducted the election felt that there's something abnormal happened at that election, the man will speak for himself from the beginning. Accusations of somebody saying something contrary to what happened, let the person affected, let him begin to complain about whatever. But somebody else coming to speak on behalf of somebody, I don't think is proper.
Okay. Anyway, the court will take its go the normal process, but
yes.
Then there's how long do you think this will drag?
We're believing that it shouldn't be very long from now, because the processes have begun, and then the honorable justices that will sit over the case, I think, have been named. So we're waiting for the processes to begin, and we'll go to court. And
so what
we're certain about the fact
your principal loses at the appeal.
No, it won't happen. We're certain about the fact because the facts are very clear. They're very, very clear. We're certain about the fact that we'll get to the appeal court and overturn that very ruling. And because of that, I'd like to let you know that things are moving on smoothly. We're proceeding with things. You know that our style of campaign may be quite different from the old style, where people just go and hold rallies and make speeches and make promises that they never want to keep.
So what's your style?
We began earlier. We started with social interventions. We started engaging the people directly. We started with things that had to do with, for instance, our free health outreach that we began to do. Engaging the 17 local government areas in an operation that took us to about 30 centers in Abia State, taking teams of medical personnel to go and attend to the problems of the people, as a first step to actually showcase what Professor Gregory Ibe intends to do in terms of looking after Abians. We started all that a long time ago, and we're doing so many other social interventions. And so our engagements are quite different than just making promises, because we know that our people are tired of hearing promises. When you come to them and say, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and they vote for you, and you get in there, you don't do any such thing. So we started all that. We started with education support. We started giving exercise books and textbooks even before now. We started also giving scholarships before now. So we are engaging the people directly without waiting for the time that somebody blows a whistle and say, now you can begin to campaign.
Well, I'm taking a look at your direct infrastructural impact initiative, and there's some projects that have been listed that would receive attention in the 17 local government areas. Public water works in almost all the local governments, general hospital development and upgrade in almost all the local government, roads, waste management, education, flood management, agro settlements. I'm just talking about those ones that seem to cut across all local governments, peculiar to different local governments. I'm seeing tourism development for Isukweto. I'm seeing new local security architecture, that's town planning, green areas, befitting inter and intra-city transit system, coach buses and all that. Now, where am I going with all of this? the local government autonomy has been a subject of discussion for a while. Do you think the Professor Gregory Ibe campaign would allow the local government manage their finances?
Well, you see, it's not just allowing them to manage their finances. We have run this system for some time, wherefore the state governments have been the ones in charge of everything that happened in the state, and we have seen the pros and the cons. We have seen the advantages and the disadvantages. And we have seen that what has happened so far is that it has stifled development. So far, you are not driving development down to the grassroots.
Okay.
And so Professor Gregory Ibe, being an iconic academic, also did some research, carried out necessary survey and came out with a blueprint. And that blueprint is actually driven by the concept of running a decentralized governance, something that will not ensure that people keep coming to Umuahia, the state capital, for everything that they need. He says, we run a decentralized administration that will ensure that we have government at different levels. At the level of local government, for instance, he says we're going to have a government house in every local government area. It shock you? We're going to have a local government facility, a government house facility in every local government area, so that we can, from that facility, drive development in that very local government area. In a sense that state executive council meetings will be rotated among the 17 local government areas in such a way that the whole apparatus of government will come to Isialangwa North, for instance, for a particular state executive council meeting, and sit down and hold town hall meetings with members of that very community and find out what are the unique problems of that very area. I want to say this. For instance, in the health sector, because of what he began to do with the Professor Gregory Ibe free medical and surgical outreach, he's been able to garner so much information about what you could call the unique health conditions of people living in different local government areas of the state. And so he comes to Isialangwa North, like I was trying to give an example, situate in that place for that state executive council meeting, and hold town hall meetings with members of the community and find out what problems there may be. And he already has, by hindsight of what happened before now, information of what are the unique problems in the health area, for instance. And we can now begin to attend to those problems one by one. Whatever it is that they bring on board and say, this is the challenge we're having, members of the State Executive Council are present in that very interaction, and I can begin to proffer solutions to those problems. So we're saying that there has been an effort at identifying what are the unique features of Ikpuano local government area, for instance. What are those things that we can activate in Ikpuano local government area, and in such a way that development will be faster and easier in Ikpuano local government area? What are those unique features? For instance, Ikpuano is known to be agrarian. We have in that place a unique agricultural produce that we don't have in other places, cocoa, for instance.
Okay.
How can we leverage the presence of cocoa in Ikpuano to ensure that we can develop not just Ikpuano but Abia State? For the time being, what is happening in Ikpuano, for instance, we found out is that cocoa is being harvested from that area and immediately exported, sold to people who now go to Lagos and run factories and use them, and then at the end of the day they sell to us products that are made from our cocoa. And he's saying it's possible for us, knowing that we have cocoa in Ikpuano, not just harvest cocoa, but also attract these industries, these factories that are located in Lagos, so that they can come to Ikpuano and domicile a factory within that space, so that it's not just tapping our materials around the way, but it can also employ our people in Ikpuano, and then we can feel the presence of that company in that area. So it is an elaborate blueprint of what to do to ensure that we can have a brand new Abia with limitless possibilities when subsequently he becomes governor. That is what you have there in your hands.
All right, I do have a document. I'm just going to be taking a look at it, but then we'll take a momentary detour. When we return, the program continues. It is The Standpoint, Rapid 96.7 FM. Be right back.
Hi, welcome to another day in the life of a Gen Z still living in Nigeria. I'm not so particular about posting pictures of my family and friends on my social media platforms in a bid to wish them happy birthday. I prefer to convey my message on a more personal ground. That doesn't mean I don't make exceptions for family members and friends who are into PDAs. Today is my brother's birthday. I don't feel the need to post it, but I spoke to him before 5 o'clock this morning. I told him how much I loved him, how much I'm honored to have him as my brother. So yeah, he got the message, and that's what's important to me. Okay, that's it.
I am an employer of the president. I pay the president's salary. I pay the bills of his family, and he must protect me.
Standpoint. The center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM, Umahia.
More Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian.
Glad to know you're tuned in to Rapid 96.5 on the frequency modulated band. The program is The Standpoint. The Abia State governorship candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, who is also the chancellor and founder of Gregory University through a key win Abia State, Professor Gregory Ibe, who has an impeccable record in sharing his craft as a knowledge merchant, which he has generously distributed in the education sector over the years. His track record of achievements is there in public space. And of course, he has described his quest to serve Abia as divine. Well, in the studio is his director of media, Mr. Slick Ogo. Glad to have you.
Thank you once again, TC Barrow.
Well, he had put a caveat prior to this conversation saying he doesn't want any controversial issues. He just wants to stick to the myth of the matter.
The thing is, we are talking about turning things around in Abia State.
Okay.
We're talking about, we're concentrating on what somebody is bringing to the table, the ideas that somebody is bringing to the table, practical things. We're not talking about promises. You know, all this while, what has been happening is that people make promises without actually backing it with physical evidence of what they have done. And now we're presenting somebody who is saying to you don't need to look very far. I am here physically present with you. What I have done in the past, what I'm doing currently, can give you an idea of what I will do when I become governor. So we want to engage the 1 hour, which is limited time, to see whether we can actually unfold some of these things so that people can have a feel of what this man is coming to do. Right now, there's a huge percentage of undecided voters in Abia State.
Really?
Yes, there's a huge percentage.
Where are you drawing your inference from?
There's a poll available. Now, the issue is that people have decided on some sectors of what they're going to vote. I mean, in terms of president, when it comes to governor, people are still waiting for, the candidates to actually prove their mettle, their capacity, their competence level on the basis of their track record. We're not talking about visions that never come to pass.
When people say based on track record, is it not possible that you can have a newbie come into the system and turn it around without having any form of public office history?
No, that possibility exists. But we're saying that with somebody who already has something that you can touch, that we're saying that person is an advantaged person over that person that doesn't have anything.
What he does have, not to go into a banter of words with you, it's a private establishment.
Precisely, it is.
In as much as they have, they render public service.
Precisely.
But then
you're right there.
The running and the affairs, it stops on the buck. The buck stops on the table of one man.
Well, you might argue that. But I want to say to you that precisely a university is larger than one man's idea.
Now, would you?
I'm moving it a little further because you have all kinds of organizations that are part and parcel of running a university. You have a board of trustees. You have a governing council
who still reverts to him for final
precisely,
decision.
but they are people that also, are involved in the process of running the place.
Why I'm going on and on about this is you've been around for a while.
Yes.
And of course, the term bureaucracy and willpower, comes to mind when you think of someone who's not been in public service. I'm trying to be careful with my choice of words here, so I don't get to pass across the wrong message. But where I'm going with this is a personality who can come and shut the powers that be down and say, I am the governor. I want to institute that. I want to do this.
I don't understand your question.
Now, I'll give you an example. The case of Ishi Gate, right?
Yes.
The market that's been moved from there and that place remained like that. Feel as from the streets, and of course, if you listen to the Whispering Bird, it tells you a lot that there are powers that have continue to hold on to that place because of the revenue that's generated from the traders and the loading bay in that particular area. And as such, it's been difficult to actually actualize whatever dreams the government might have for that place. How does your principal intend to manage this scenario? You come into power, yes, on the platform of probably the All Progressive Grand Alliance, and then there are people. How do they put it in Igbo? And then these persons are mounting pressure left, right, center. You're having, people who are from beneath, in quote, so to say. How does he intend to manage that? That's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about capacity here.
Okay.
And then we are using his past and what he's doing now to be able to assess what his capacity and competence will be subsequently when the demands of the office of governor are thrown at him. Is that what we're looking at now?
Yes.
Now, I want to say to you that in whatever capacity he is presently occupying now, he is also dealing with different levels of human beings. There are people who are also opposed. He is a consultant to the United Nations, where he works, also as consultant to ECOWAS nations, 15 of them. He consults on development and also on education. He's been a consultant to the federal ministries of education, of transportation, several ministries at the federal level. And he has been able to deal with boardroom politics as well. And these are levels of governance that, you engage into all kinds of, issues of debate, and you're able to present proposals and people see the point of view that you're expressing before they can buy into what you're selling. So when it comes to the art of governance, he has a lot of experience coming from these sectors that he has been involved in as well. Now, when you talk about things you said about Ishi Gate, for instance, and say there are a lot of factors, involved in that very process, I want you to also acknowledge the fact that he's presently playing a role in that very development.
He is.
He rented a facility there.
Okay.
And because he rented a facility there, he threw up a lot of issues, some of which you are aware of.
Okay.
And he is also managing those issues right now. So, people are contesting, for instance. It happens in anything that you place a demand on. There are going to be people who will rise up and say, no, you can't have it. Of course, it now places a demand on your capacity to manage issues, contradicting issues, things that might come out as crisis. You're able to manage them and then advance the cause. Let me say to you, for instance, you want to build a university. It doesn't come so easy. There are processes. You want to acquire land, for instance, and then you need to, purchase this land from people. There are things that will arise from there. And then you are supposed to also be a manager of such issues that will arise to be able to succeed at doing so. And build a university in a land that doesn't have water, doesn't have light, doesn't have access road, and you want to domicile 3,000 young people and 1,000 staffers in that facility, and you do so for 10 years. That is a man that knows how to handle, manage crisis, and also produce result at the end of the day.
Okay. There's a certain scenario I'd like to, play off right now. I had a conversation with, I think, the director of the Gregory Ibe campaign organization. Professor
Director General, you mean?
Yes, Director General of the campaign organization, Barrister
Longman Emeka Nwachukwu.
Yeah, I had a conversation with him, and then the Honorable Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Chief John Oki Kalu, called in to say that the donations made by your principal, to the government during the COVID-19 era, and he mentioned specifically the ambulance, were not permanently given to the state, that they were given and collected. That was in response to Longman's statement when he alluded to the fact that Greg Ibe had been supporting the government in the area of health.
I want to thank my brother Chief John Oki Akalo, at least for acknowledging the fact that Professor Gregory Ibe supported the government at that point in time. What we have been putting out there is the fact that he supported. Okay?
Not donated.
I'm coming down.
Okay.
He supported the government. He donated bags of rice, 850 at the beginning, and then 40 per local government subsequently. At the beginning, 850 to the state government, which was received by the secretary to the government. I say have the video playing every other day. And then brought 2 ambulances to support, because at that time we had an issue. Why did the ambulances come in? Because of the fact that we had an issue. At that point in time, the practice was to take blood samples from Umuahia or wherever we got those samples to Abakaliki, to go and test and find out whether patients had COVID or not. And there was issue of non-availability of, so many vehicles that could do that run. So he said, let's give them, let's donate this, let's support them with these 2 ambulances and let them help out in this very exercise. He also brought a team of people to go and do fumigation of the state. It wasn't a handover. It was go and do fumigation. Public areas within the state, make sure that we can ensure that public places are still safe. And so there were so many things that were released to the state government for the purpose of ensuring that our people at that point in time at least had food, we are safe. What about the test kits that were given to the state government? So I'm happy that he acknowledged the fact that there was some support made. It wasn't a donation as to go and keep. It was go and service this very project. At the end of it all, the thing can come back and continue to render services to the public within our specialist hospital, which we have through there.
All right. I'd like to open up the phone lines. It's 14 minutes to 11. It will be imperative that we ask people to contribute on the program. 0916-0333-965. 0916-0333-965. You can also call 0916-000-965. 0916-000-965. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name, please?
Good morning, guests in the house.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Joseph Ijindu. I am calling from Malai, Amatol precisely. I thank you. I'm indebted a lot of thanks to you because you based on issue-based campaign without attacking anybody, telling us what your principal is going to do if he becomes the governor. So that's the way to go. Not to be castigating and insulting others. But the area that I want to correct is the area of bringing what happened during the COVID-19 lockdown today because of politics of campaign.
I'm the one
You
who
can
brought it
actually-
Joseph, I'm the one who brought it up. He didn't bring it.
Okay, there's no problem. Okay, there's no problem. So what I'm trying to say is this: we are doing campaign today. There are certain things that we don't need to bring at the platform now, because during that time, so many people contributed.
You're still saying the same thing. I'm the one who brought the conversation up. I needed to make
wait a minute, I should leave
reference.
that. I should leave that area.
Yes, please go ahead with some of it.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is this. Yes, it's true that Dr. Greg Ibe, he was in PDP before, and he tried everything possible for him to rule against it then, and it couldn't happen for him to emerge as a governor. And he defected to ABGA to continue pursuing the same political aspiration. And currently now, they are in the court with Chiku Udensi. What I'm trying to advise is this. I think Greg Ibe should jettison that ambition of pursuing such adventure and support the current government of PDP to ensure that Governor Kezi also finishes very well, to ensure that the tremendous achievement that the governor has started go well. Because you can test with me,
please wrap up your talk.
There are so many projects that the governor have done, and you can see that Aba have never received the kind of attention that he had received this time.
Thank you very much.
So let us consolidate and make sure that PDP wins come 20.
0916-0333-965 0916-0333-965. Henceforth, it's just going to be 1 minute on the dot. I will insist on that because we just have 10 minutes on the clock. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning. This is Ibaraba.
Your name and your contribution. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, Mr. Jonathan, calling you from Omaya. Good morning, sir, in the house.
Good morning, my brother Jonathan. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, I've been able to listen to your analysis, and I mean slick. Then the area I want to, draw your attention is on the issue of this court issue between Chiku Udensi and Professor Gregory Ibe. At the first instance, it was the ruling was in favor of Professor Greg Ibe concerning the case instituted by retired Major General Ijoma against Prof. And then the second one was against.
Please wrap up your thought. You have 6
Greg
seconds.
Ibe. Now, what I want to say in effect that in my own opinion, it would have been better for you to settle this issue out of court, so that you can, move on with your campaign, and your supporters will also go ahead to support you, including the electorate, so that they will know the candidate to vote for. Now you have 2 candidates contesting for this position.
No, we have one candidate, please. One candidate.
So, my advice is for you.
All right, advice taken. We need to take as much calls as possible. People should learn to stick to the arrangement. 1 minute, please. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Prosper Hanaya, calling from Isukwato, precisely.
Go ahead, 1 minute.
Okay, I just want to make a contribution. Professor Gregory Ikechukwu is a man whom we know that has done a lot in Abia State. He's the only man we know that has the capacity to make Abia new, to do and bring transformation in Abia. So following his antecedents and what he has done, he's the only man that has, should I say, among all other candidates contesting, investment in Abia State. Things that eyes can see. It's not a kind of jamboree, just tell stories. The track records are there, it's there in public domain. So I would want to advise Abians to support such a man that has capacity and has the interest of Abians at heart to make Abia new. Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, TC.
Yes, your thoughts in 1 minute.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say. It's Alvan. I'm calling you from Bende. Good morning to your guest. There is these issues I want him to resolve, because there have been allegations and counter allegations. In fact, we've even read his own press release still on the matter, because this issue is quite sensitive. Your guys can agree with me, considering what happened in Bayelsa recently, where and on the eve of the inauguration of the governorship listing, the court has sacked him. So this is certificate, which certificate did the prof submitted to INEC? Because General Legio said he have the copy of a GCE certificate prof submitted, which is bearing Joseph Ibe. You agree in a radio interview, you said prof have why? So which one have all these issues to be so we know the particular one we are facing? Have a nice day.
All right, probably we'll just do one more before we wrap it up from the phone calls. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother. My name is Evangelist Ken, calling from Hawaii.
1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Greg Ribe, having gone through his record, is qualified by all means to contest for governorship of the state. Nobody will say because you have supported this man, leave it and leave your vision and support another person. When he was there, because the capacity will allow him to operate, he has the right to do that because he has seen the right thing that others are suffering. Let him continue. God knows who is the best. Don't let him not surrender for anything. God bless you.
Quick, sharp, straight to the point. Slick.
Yes, please. Jonathan court case. Yes, right now, like we said at the beginning, there are all kinds of efforts being made to resolve the court cases that are pending. And aside from that, there are also mechanisms that are being applied to ensure that pretty soon we can resolve all contentions and we can concentrate on winning this very state for ABGA. I'm certain about the fact that very soon all these issues will be resolved. Okay, under certificate forgery, I want to say one thing for sure. Somebody came on the air and alleged, and we're saying to that person that the best process for certificate forgery is to go and actually institute a case in court, and that can be looked into critically by the eyes of the jurists and not for somebody to just allege something. The certificates, we came out with a refutal to state the position of our campaign organization, which is the intent that our principal attended institutions that are notable. The Ihube High School where he went to and graduated from, the certificates are there. The institute that he attended and acquired his bachelor's certificate is there. All these things were turned to INEC. You see, at the point of your presenting your certificates to relevant organizations, what also happens is that they have the capacity to verify whether these things are authentic or not. And so he has been doing things on the public space as a consultant at different levels, and the certifications has also been proving that he has all those records. But we're saying that when somebody that has a case, a genuine case against another, the best place to pursue that case may not be in the media space, but to go to a competent court of jurisdiction and do something about it, and then the matter will be looked into. So, but to put it very clear, Professor Gregory Ibe attended institutions and I was able to acquire the certificates that he presented to both ABGA and then to INEC. And those certificates are verifiable for anybody that wants to find out whether they are authentic or not.
All right, finally, there's been this talk that Professor Gregory Ibe has the back end of the former governor in Senator T.A. Oje.
Well,
have you heard that?
You didn't talk about the one that said at some point that he had the backing of the present governor. There have been all kinds of speculations that have come out. Well, the truth of the matter is that he's a mystery to so many people. He's a mystery. The man came out to run for office, and he has shown capacity to run for that very office. And so people are trying to explain away. For instance, he came into ABGA. He left PDP 30th of March, joined ABGA 4th of April, and the primary election was on 29th of May. So I am not surprised that so many other people are shocked at the fact that somebody who joined 4th of May was able to sell his mandate to the delegates. I was able to convince them about his competence and ability to actually emerge governor, and they voted for him. So people are trying to explain away the mystery called Professor Gregory Ibe. The simple thing is that he is a passionate Abian. He has watched the way things are going in Abia State. And he says, I have a blueprint that will take us from point A to point B. And he's saying, look at my blueprint. Look at what I have done to show that I have the capacity to drive change in Abia State, to bring us to a point where we can, begin to bugao in Abia State, like we sing in the song. So that is what he's saying. But the issue is that people are surprised. So many people are trying to explain away, this kind of human being. But the simple thing is investigate. I always say this on radio. When people come out to lay claims to who they are and what they do, please, I have said these things. If you like, don't believe me. Go and investigate the things I have said. Nowadays, it is not too difficult to actually investigate people without they even finding out. All you need to do is ask Google, and it brings out so much information about whatever subject that you want to investigate. Go and ask Google about the man called Professor Gregory Ibe and find out what he has done in the past. Maybe on the strength of what you will find out, you can also agree with those of us that the man to do the job of taking Abia to a new level, to a new point come 2023 is none other. Why respecting the abilities of the other candidates? We are saying that among all the good, there is a best, and that best is Professor Gregory Ikechukwu Ibe.
Well, I'll take that as your final thoughts on the program today. Thank you very much, Sleek Ogo, Director of Media, Professor Greg Ibe, Campaign Organization. I'm hoping that I'll have a section with you where we get to look at the blueprints in its entirety.
I'm ready, sir.
Get to dissect some of the areas where he will be concentrating on, and then deliver same message to Abians. This has been a Rapid 96.5 FM's flagship program, The Standpoint. And of course, the Standpoint will make a return tomorrow at 10 a.m. Many thanks to Sleek Ogo for finding time to... I had turned off your microphone.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you so much for having us here.
All right. So, my name is Temple Barra. On behalf of the producer, Bright Agoyan Baba. And of course, the Onyebuchi Obona. John Kamian is the executive producer. We'll be back tomorrow at 10. Up next is Newslight. Stay tuned.
Breaking news fast. Newslight on Rapid 96.5 FM.
The federal government has approved a new whistleblower